Hello and welcome. This is PappaZappa, bringing you part 8 of Mercenaries 2. And today, we're going to be handling the Allied Nations side missions. And out of all the factions, this particular faction has by far the most missions for us to do. In terms of like the HVTs and the destroy targets. And by that, I mean there are 24 destroy targets we have to do before they fully reward us. So we're going to go ahead and use Ewan to transport us there.
Oh, hey, boss.
It looks like our closest bet is the pirate base. There's not too many films I can think of that utilize the UN, and definitely none that I can think of that utilize, well, other than World War II films maybe. Like, Allied Nations isn't really a term that commonly used. By the way, we're just stealing this helicopter to transit over quickly. Like, Hotel Rwanda is a movie I can think of that was really good, that involved the the United Nations. It's starting to work on me, their propaganda. And if you consider the Allies from World War II, the Allied Nations, then there's probably at least a decent amount of good films in that regard. Like Bridge over River Kwai involves the Americans and the British. And that is quite the movie, I must say. Only the British would be taken prisoner and think, man, we could build this bridge better if you just let us help and aid the enemy. The penultimate moment of the film, in my opinion, is when the British officer, because I don't remember his rank exactly, I think it was Colonel, he looks and sees someone, he points out where someone would be sabotaging, and he sees the American sabotaging, and he has that flash in his head, do I actually let him blow the bridge, or do I help him sabotage? I highly recommend checking out for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Hey, Jennifer Mooey. Glad to see you're on the winning team.
Presumptuous, but we're going to be working with you, so technically correct.
You need help with something? No, I'll let you.
So, as far as the Allied Nations equipment goes, it's pretty much entirely U.S. In fact, I don't know if they have anything that isn't from the U.S. Oh, you know what? I think the SMA, which is the anti-tank missile, could potentially be a different country, but I'm not 100% on that. So we're going to get the AN supply drop. It comes with the Allied Combat Rifle, which is the XM8 for those who played Battlefield Bad Company 2. And it was in Bad Company 1 as well. It's pretty good.
Yes, I'll have.
What sets the XM8 apart from the other assault rifles in-game is the fact that it comes with 40 rounds rather than 30. It's also pretty accurate. And we tried the light MG out last time, so we're going to go ahead and just call this in. So yeah, while this is calling in, I'm curious for anyone who's used to playing shooters, what some of your favorite assault rifles are. Perhaps a top 3, if you feel so inclined.
New jacket.
It looks like we got ammo. I'd have to give it a minute to think about where I'm at with that. Now, for this first outpost, we've got to capture it up here. I don't believe there's too many SAM sites, so you could use a helicopter, but I've got something in mind. I think it's time to bust out one of them Iron Mountain heavy tanks that we've took so long to acquire. Or took the time to, at the very least. Alright, so I'm not going to say in any particular order what my favorite assault rifles are in video games. But I'm pretty confident that one of them... The F2000's a classic. I really like that one in Payday and in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. really can't go wrong with the M4A1. It's in a lot of games and it's usually pretty good. I'm thinking the AK, and because I'm just going to say that, probably just the standard AK-47. And it mostly is just because that's what's popping in my head right now. If I think of one I'll like better, I'll change my answer, but that's where I'll stand for now. Now we're going to be careful to avoid getting this Chinese disguise because there is a lot of foot traffic around for Allied soldiers, and we're not trying to get our nice tank destroyed. It's pretty fast, so not taking so long to get anywhere. Lots of motorcycles on the road these days. Kind of reminds me of the, for any of you viewers who've seen Top Gear, back when Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond were the hosts, they did a Vietnam special. And I always found it pretty cool that there's so many, the vast majority of motor vehicles on the road are motorcycles because of the fact that cars had been introduced but they were still too expensive because they'd only been there for a couple of years, whereas most people could afford a motorbike. And because of that, there was lots of people just carrying all sorts of loads that you wouldn't even think possible for a motorcycle. Really putting the most out of the machine that they could possibly get. I think that's pretty cool.
Great, another tank.
I've already shared that I don't particularly find riding bikes to be very safe. ATVs are a little better. So like your four-wheeler. Had one when I was younger. Thought it was fairly fun.
You picked the wrong side.
So we're going ahead and clearing out the riffraff here down below before we go ahead and call in anyone, because this is one of those 6-person outposts. So it's a little important that we take the effort to do that. That, and I would really prefer no one steal my tank, because as you guys saw last time, well, anyone who was here for part 7, and if you were, thank you very much. That I was unable to do the QTEs to steal my own tank back. Rather embarrassing, not gonna lie.
And so easy to hijack.
Alright, let's go ahead and call in the Coalition Assault Squad. I like to stand on top of the tank, just because I don't trust. Wow! You see what I mean? This rifle's pretty strong. Going ahead and land with the payload. There we go. You notice how they only drop 4 off out of the 6 we need, so you basically have to call in 2. Maybe even 3. And you are not taking my tank, sir. Now, another difference between the PS2 version and the Xbox 360 version, unless there's a way to do this and I just never knew, is that you could actually order the soldiers in your vehicle to get out without you. Which I think is kind of cool from a commanding sort of standpoint. Like, some other games that have also taken advantage of the, like, NCO role. There's 3 that I can really think of that do it. The first being Star Wars Battlefront 2, where you can order, depending on your rank, an amount of soldiers to sit behind you. The second I can think of is SOCOM Combined Assault, where you really have to give orders a lot. Oh, and then there's a 4th now. Third is the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter series, where you give them a host of orders. It's just a shame the game itself isn't that great. And the achievements for it are supremely unfair. I'll get back to that point in a minute. And then the 4th game is Verdun/Tannenberg, where if you're an NCO, you can... I mean, it's not really that in-depth because you're relying on your real-life teammates rather than AI to tell them what to do.
Make it quick.
But you get the option to call in artillery that help, or like a call-in, like gas or smoke that helps your teammates, and you also give them direct orders like attack this target, defend here, things like that, depending on your squad, which is pretty cool. Now these laser guided bombs, we will assuredly be taking advantage of. In the Port of Caracas outpost, this is one of the hardest in the game.
The Allies need
Good to
our
know they
help
didn't steal our
moving in on a
tank.
VZ outpost to the northeast in the port of Caracas.
Let's go ahead and get an ally to help us. Nice, we got a machine gunner now. Now you might notice that there's a dish on top of this tank. I'm pretty confident the Chinese do not use discs. They have their own like heavy machine gun that they use. Now back to the point about this outpost. What makes it so difficult? Well, for one, there's a whole bunch of anti-air defense around it, mainly in the form of missiles. So coming in with a helicopter is not going to be good. And then additionally, calling in people to occupy it on a helicopter, probably not going to work out so well either. Okay, we've gotten that past that part. What's the next part? Well, there's a tank or two there. Okay, there's been tanks or two other places as well. Yeah, you're right. There's also a jammer there. I'm pretty sure. So you can't call in support. And then there's also a bunch of missiles. Like you got the RPG buildings. I think there's a recoilless rifle or two. You really, you got your work cut out for you. So in that case, I kind of recommend you bring the heaviest tank you have. And because we've grinded out all the Chinese missions already, we have the Iron Mountain heavy tank. And this should be more than enough for the job. With what I imagine is a 125mm gun. You get a lot done with that. The Abrams, like the original Abrams only had 105mm, but the M1A2 and like the M1A1 both had 120s. Oh. Okay. See, that's one thing I find kind of funny about this game, is that you can go straight up a mountainside, but like if you try and go over a jagged entrance like that, the tank's just gonna be like, nah, can't do it. I am always fascinated by footage of tanks just going through and plowing down, plowing down houses like it's nothing. Now, I gotta admit, one-shotting these RPG buildings is a beautiful thing. Along with pretty much everything else that we're dealing with. Yeah, see what I mean? There's the recoilless rifle. We got one hit off on us, so it could be worse. Be really careful not to destroy the building. Oh, that's hilarious. That light tank only did 6 damage to us on the attack. Just make sure everything's clear before we mess around. And for whatever reason, most of my playthroughs, whenever I call in allied soldiers around here, they have a really hard time pathing. So just try and keep that in mind. Make sure to clear out everyone before you attempt to call them in.
There's no one on that weapon! Hang on!
You picked the wrong side.
Oh, well, well. Yeah, see what I mean? Lots of hidden rockets here. Oh, man. The destructive power of this cannon is really something. I'm pretty I can't wait to see how well the Diplomat compares, because I don't remember immediately if it's better offhand. I feel like it is. Like it might have a little more armor.
Assault squad prepped and ready. Inbound on
But this is a fun machine right here. It's got a really good shape too. You might notice that the armor is incredibly sloped, which makes it really difficult to penetrate. Please don't take my tank, dude.
Assault squad prepped and ready. Inbound on your position.
And they figured out sloping armor. I mean, they probably knew about the benefits of it a bit before, is my guess, than when it was actually implemented. Oh, he didn't die? Nice job, man.
Hello?
I gotta say, you're doing pretty good. Now, this is a little bit of an issue. They just decided they don't want to go on to the pad, so we're gonna go ahead and try and call them here. Hello?
Assault squad.
Yeah, now if you press right stick, you have a binocular, and it'll tell you what vehicle you're looking at, if you are looking at one, and it kind of gives you a decent zoom. Nothing crazy, but it's okay.
There's no one on the 50
What do you guys see that you're tripping on? Is there like a dude down here? Oh, come on. You get very distracted, these allied soldiers, I'll say that much. Interesting.
Mercenary.
Oh, don't you call anybody. Yeah, you're supposed to go in there and capture it. Silly goose. Can they even make it to the door now? Oh, they can, that's good.
Find that cover.
Oh, don't you be shooting
Great.
with my tank. It can be difficult to finagle them, especially when they decide that they don't want to cooperate with you, and they're just like, well, what if we shot you with your own tank that you cleared the outpost with, right? Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that one. That's a really tough
Agent Joyce. The mercenary, sir. Yes, sir.
QTE to try and do. Can you guys just please go into the building and capture it and stop trying to shoot me? I'd really appreciate that. Like, yeah, I might have killed one of your soldiers. It was for a good cause.
Hey, Mui. Good to see you.
Oh yeah, they're not gonna let us skip it while they're telling us what we've unlocked.
Well, you can afford me. That's
Alright, let's see what we got now. So the anti-air kit we already have from, I think maybe Universal Petroleum, something like that. Guardian Artillery is kind of cool, so I'll get a couple of those. Maybe we'll use it. Definitely want the storage upgrade. Still got quite a bit to unlock. And then the final outpost of the game. If we do this, then we're going to get the Bradley unlocked.
I'll do it.
Okay, the VZ set up an outpost in an abandoned shipyard along the river, just southeast of Caracas.
Looks like they stole my tank, so I'm going to take that as a sign to use something else. This outpost is very similar to the last one. The biggest difference, I would say, is that there is now a helicopter patrolling this one, and even more SAMs. A big garrison there. This is probably even harder than the one we just did. So we're going to go ahead and use our old friend, the Warsong attack helicopter. Oh, thanks, Ewan. I really appreciate you actually
Don't worry about
delivering
me,
it.
boss. I'll catch a ride back.
Oh, thanks.
Hello.
Well, at least only did 2 damage. You know, you guys have been watching, if you've been watching from part 1, we've got 7 whole parts and we're on part 8 now. I'm curious what your guys' favorite location in the game is. Lots of different places, lots of different environments. Gives you a good different vibe, feeling of Venezuela. It's hard for me to say. That quarry is pretty cool. I like all the different activities you can do in there. Alright, we're fast approaching. First things first, we're taking care of this helicopter. We're going to draw it out of the range of the SAM so we don't have to deal with both at once. Hello. And he's a smart one too. He tried to use rockets on me. Didn't work, of course. Now there's the enemy tank down below. We're going to go ahead and deal with that. They've also got a jammer to prevent us from calling in anything. Okay, tank down. Let's get the jammer next. Now this is an M113, so yeah, I was figuring it would go down in one hit. We just saw the last one take 2, so we're going to fire 2 right away at this one. And that worked perfect. Excellent. Alright, next stage. Let's go ahead and get rid of all of these, yeah, chunkuses. Anti-air. That ain't going to work for me. Oh, that's not good. Twice. Now thankfully this is such a big outpost that we can kind of afford to blow up most of it. Okay, and get out before we die. Now let's hope for the best. Try not to get smoked here. That's pretty successful though, I'd say. Destroyed almost every building. And we've established ourselves in the area with what appears to only be foot soldiers left over, which is essentially where we want it to be. No, don't be pulling no kung fu treachery on me, the heavy MG. Well, can I really call it kung fu treachery when I walk in front of the heavy MG? Oh, whoa, oh, recoilless rifle, okay. There's another tank in this. About to get a little spooked there. Alright, we're calling in a coalition squad.
There's no one on the 50 cal. Hold on.
Assault squad on the way.
And then while we're waiting, let's see. Couldn't hurt to steal this, I guess.
Ewan, would you like to make a quick buck?
Oh,
Cover me! Go in!
calling in another coalition squad.
Got it. Pickup incoming.
Gonna take this fuel as well. Yeah, 2,400 was a lot a little while ago, but we're gonna be, I think, somewhere around 6,000 when we're done. So it's quite a bit.
Ooh, a tank, so expensive.
And there's a couple things that cost a whole bunch to call in, like the Moab later on, which is pretty powerful airstrike. I'm just gonna keep calling in these coalition assault squads until they figure out to walk inside. Someone's sniping us. I imagine it's someone in a tower. Alright, we got it. Nice. That's all the outposts done.
There's no one on the 50 cal. Hang on.
Hey, muy.
I don't know if you guys hear the hip-hop
You need help
track
with
in the
something.
background. It's kind of interesting. We'll go ahead and get the final fuel upgrade. 5,900 fuel now. Pretty nice. Then we're going to start doing some missions. Alright, this next mission we're going to be doing is one of our standard level 1, 2, and 3 missions. There's, it's called Give It a Whirl. You fly a helicopter, specifically a rogue transport. And you gotta fly it through, well, essentially rings, but kind of gates. Well, gates in the shape of rings, I guess would be the best way to put it. And it's probably the most fair and fun challenge since that sports car one we've done. And I think it's how you get the American attack helicopter, the Ambassador gunship. So we're definitely going to be doing that, even though we're doing pretty much all the side content as well.
Welcome back.
Humvee, by the way, really expensive, not that good.
Man, why is
Especially against IEDs. So, as far as I'm aware, they got phased out in favor of stuff like the MRAP.
If you're ever feeling a
Good to see you.
You need help with...
Alright, let's see what they reward us with. They do indeed give us the
I'll do
Ambassador
it.
gunship.
I plotted the fastest route to the Allied HQ. Fastest, you understand, not safest. Try to...
So, one piece of advice I have for you if you're doing this mission, definitely make sure you're standing with all the factions is good. I keep mentioning this dreaded boat, but think back to that part 4 when I was raging at the boat. And it is possible, I think UP will shoot you if you don't have perfect faction thing with them. Well, or at least at the very least neutral. Also, this US propaganda music is really funny right here. See, I don't really mind going through time trials and gates like this. I think it's a fun way to spend time. Like, I was watching my friend Shadowforks play Spider-Man 2, the one on the PS5. And they have you go through gates on that one as well, and that also looked like a good time. So I guess my point is that multiple genres can kind of take advantage of this style. Especially ones in an open world. Also, if they were to do a Superman game, probably would be one thing you could do that would be pretty fun. Though, I think I've heard people complain about how the N64 had you do that too often. Of course, the key to a good time in pretty much any game, I think, is having there be enough different things to do that it doesn't feel boring. A game where you just load in and do the same thing over and over and over again. It's like it could be a pretend fun loop. Then you're just stuck there grinding. War Thunder is kind of guilty of that if you find yourself not having fun and just raging, which I am sure a lot of people who play War Thunder feel that way. I did my grinding years ago, and I got to where I like pretty much, and I have a bunch of battle rating lineups for like 7 or 8 countries. So when I play War Thunder, I typically don't worry so much about unlocking things. I just worry about if I can have a fun time or not with the lineup I have. That's why I keep going back to like 5.3 British, or well, that and I prefer World War II to the Cold War by a very, very large margin. There really isn't anything like not having an adequate anti-air defense system, or like a way to ward off or air-to-ground missiles, and then just getting punked by some dude with the JDAM. Really am not fond of that. Thermals are cool though. Don't really care for night vision either. In most games, like COD 4 has a decent night vision. And Escape from Tarkov, I like some of the night vision goggles they have in that, but it's absolutely filled to the brim with hackers, so I don't really play that one. Not only that, and my computer just absolutely has a struggle fest handling it because my PC specs are from like 2012. It's a miracle it can run it at all, really. However, it does mean that older games, of which I like a lot, that I have on PC run fairly easily because the hardware I have is configured to them specifically. Well, not specifically, but it's in the age range, so it works out. Wow, they really kept my helicopter the whole time? The helicopter I stole, of course. Alright, that's part 1 done. So let's go ahead and fly back real quick and get to part 2. The only thing that's really going to change as far as I remember is they're a lot more stringent with the timer as you go from part 1 to part 2 to part 3. But it's nothing that you can't handle if you're able to handle the other missions. Unless you're really bad with flying a helicopter, I guess. But there's
still some civilian life around
Well, I've
town,
gotten a
so
lot of
most
experience
people
flying
tackle
helicopters in
into
video
a massive
games,
battle
like
between
through
the
stuff like
Allies and the
Battlefield,
Chinese.
through the Mercenaries series here.
Hey, watch where you're
In
going,
GTA,
man.
you fly 'em.
Hey.
Glad you're back.
You need help with something.
Alright, give it a roll level 2. Let's see what we got.
I'll do it.
I plotted the fastest route to the Allied HQ. Fastest, you understand, not safest.
That, you know, let's break down what she just said. The fastest route to Allied HQ. And we are, keep in mind, the Allied HQ is south. What direction are we flying? North? Methinks Fiona's a liar. So you can add that to the list of her character. Well, either that or she's just got the wrong information. Although you'd think some common sense would apply here and there. Curious what you all think of Caracas, the capital city that we're flying through. I feel like it's kind of got this weird overcast tint. I mean, I guess it makes sense. We're on the coast, right next to the ocean, and like, at least in Oregon, the coastal areas do often have this fog, and they look pretty dark even during the day. Like even in California too, like Laguna Beach. It's always like this whenever I visited there. So I guess for a coastal town, it's a nice representation. As far as a capital city, it's not the biggest. It's very blown out. Mentioned that last time in the Chinese video. Oh, from this angle it looks pretty good though. You get to see the skyscrapers. Now there'll be I don't think in this part, but the next part, I'm going to get to show you guys a really cool... I guess I'm going to say glitch. I'm not really sure what the word is I'm thinking of here. Where if you destroy a skyscraper from a particular angle, it cracks itself out. So hopefully we'll get to show that off. And it decides to work. But I don't recall it ever failing, so we'll see. We're doing really well on time here. As long as you hold forward and actually are trying, you're pretty much guaranteed to get it on level 1 and 2. Unless you like crash into something for some reason. This one gate is probably like the most tricky just because you have to raise your altitude so much and then lower here.
Oh look! The bad guys have an RV.
Bad guys. I wonder if there are VZ soldiers down below or if she just doesn't like the Allied nations. Oh, there are some VZ. Okay. We're getting pretty close. Just 2 more to go. Pretty cool little base both the Allies and the China have for their main
I
headquarters.
signed up because, you know, I dropped down to serve.
There we go. We did it. Nice. Let's go ahead and handle level 3. And get ourselves the Ambassador gunship. This is going to be the tricky one of all of them. Just by necessity, really, more than anything. Oh, and now that we've cleared out this river outpost, there should be at pretty much all times a ambassador gunship flying above, but I don't currently see it, so maybe not. Oh, I'm thinking of the outpost more down that way. If you recall, there was an anaconda defending it, so I think the game thinks, okay, there needs to be a helicopter gunship defending the outpost, so when the allies take over, they get the same treatment.
Good to see you.
You need help with...
By the way, consider this.
I'm in.
The fact that we're flying in a rogue transport for an allied nation mission should give you a pretty good indication on who Universal Petroleum is closely aligned with. I mean, they're not exactly subtle about it, but in case you didn't piece it together until now, that's a pretty good piece of evidence why they work together.
I plotted the fastest route to the Allied HQ. Fastest, you understand, not safest.
Alright, 12 seconds. Yeah, that is not exactly very kind of them, especially considering it takes 5 seconds to even get in the air, pretty much. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna definitely be working in this level 3 to try and not run out of time. So, but ideally by now in the first 2 levels you figured out the pathing that you like that's going to get you safely through the gates. Because if you're still worried about that, you're probably going to fail at least once or twice. You know, we've talked about the American propaganda music. I'm curious if any of you have favorites in the America propaganda music genre. So like, some good example would be like that Green Beret song, The Army Goes Rolling Along, the Marine Battle Hymn. My favorite is Over There, by the Tim Rogers Choir, I think is the version I like. The original I do not care for so much. It feels like too song and dancey, whereas the choir version actually feels like a proper, like, marching song, inspiring even, if you would. And I like the context of Over There as well, because it's a song about the Americans joining World War I to put an end to things, and how it's striking fear into the Germans. Which, I feel like is an accurate description. At least the High Command was scared of the idea in World War I. That's why they launched that spring offensive in 1917 to try and end the war before America could get its troops over in mass. And yet again, the Germans were unable to take Paris. They got pretty close in the Second Battle of the Marne, but ultimately couldn't pull it out. World War I is a really interesting time period to look at, by the way, if you're unfamiliar with it. I highly recommend, at the very least, getting a good idea of like what the different parts of the war were like, and reading or watching some material on it. As far as like YouTube material goes, I pretty much recommend The Great War. Back when Indy 9L was hosting for it, he did a week by week and talked about what events were happening every week throughout the war. Very informative. You get a really good idea of the minutiae of the conflict that way. Dan Carlin's Ghosts of the Western Front, I think, or something like that. I think, oh no, that might be Ghosts of the Ostfront for the World War II one. I don't recall what the World War I one was called. But he does a 6-part series on that that's pretty good. Dan Carlin's a good storyteller, especially if you're unfamiliar with the topics that he's discussing. And you couldn't go wrong, speaking as a historian, you couldn't go wrong with reading the primary sources about the event either. So like, if they exist, something like Tsar Nicholas's memoirs or stories about the soldiers themselves from the perspective of the soldiers. I read a pretty decent tertiary book that was called American Involvement in World War I. And it's really illuminating how many important figures in American history ended up fighting in the conflict. So like, Harry S. Truman was an artillery officer in the Great War. He barely passed algorithms because that was a requirement to get into the artillery branch. And if you're curious why they require you to know algorithms, it's because the education system, at least in part, is a pipeline to the military. And the military needs people who can do effective algorithms so they can do artillery manually, should it be important. Of course, things are more automatic every year, so it's probably becoming less of a concern as time goes on, but if the computers ever go down or the automated systems fail, then people are going to need to know that information so they can do it manually.
It looks better with dents.
One interesting case study of education system linked into a pipeline that goes straight to the, by the way, we're handling destroy targets now. We got 24 of them. We're going to start with this shanty town. There's a couple Chinese strong points here we'll deal with. So one interesting case study about education to the military pipeline is Imperial Japan, actually, speaking of the World Wars. It was a system made almost entirely to promote children and students to join the military once they were done with their time. Officers would say it's their not officers, but professors would say it's their patriotic duty. Give them as much propaganda about the state as possible.
There's a target.
Oh, this is a classic. We love when things like this happen. So we're just gonna shoot the oil and then fly away. The old classic. Alright, nice, that's one. So yeah, we're in the Ambassador gunship. I remember reading on the wiki for Mercenaries 2 like 15 years ago that this particular vehicle is a chimera, so it's not one vehicle, it's an amalgamation of them.
Hello.
It's possible they did that because they didn't want to get sued. Like some designers for these kind of armored and war vehicles don't particularly care if you use their designs, or they don't care for you using their designs, rather would be a better way to put it. So we've got like a mix of a Venom and an Apache, as far as I'm aware, for this one.
You make it look. There's a target. Take it out.
So we're using the old tactic of grabbing some oil, or if that's not available, like an artillery thing, and then just stacking it on top of the building to get an easy destroy, and that way we don't use our munitions so much. Just love how polite they are. I know I've said that a couple times, but they keep doing it, so I might as well keep affirming their kindness.
You make it look easy. Good job.
Alright, 2 more around here to go. This is also a pretty well designed part of the map, for what it's worth. I'm pretty fond of how they handled the shanty town.
Get that helicopter!
Oh no, don't get that helicopter, we're cool. I'm just destroying all your stuff. Don't mind me.
Hello.
Hello.
Zero in on that target.
Okay. And you know, that brings up a good point. You wonder, well, I wonder, how much of every education system is just straight up propaganda. Try and make you think that your country is the greatest.
Good job.
And for the U.S., I mean, pretty much all of the history classes, especially if it's talking about U.S. history. And, well, what other classes would even have propaganda other than history? Probably English. Although they did a pretty good job of teaching stuff like To Kill a Mockingbird and 1984, Fahrenheit 451. Give you an idea of what you have, so try not to lose it.
Greetings.
Although, if you think about it, that in and of itself could be a propaganda in a way. Like, things could be so much worse, so don't complain about what's around right now. Just a thought. Alright, so here's the pathing we're going to take. We're going to go northwest and destroy all these targets in the islands, and then we're going to come back around and destroy these ones on the mainland. And as far as munitions go, we're doing really well. We've used about 70-ish shells on our cannon, so not worried really at all. Now, in this long helicopter ride to the island, I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys what your favorite scenes with helicopters are in movies. If you have any in particular that you're fond of. Some ones that I can think of right away. The first one that comes to mind is Tropic Thunder. When the beginning scene, when he's running towards it and they reenact Platoon, and he's just getting shot like 1,000 times. Tucker Speedman, I think his name is. That's Ben Stiller's character. And then at the very end, when Matthew McConaughey throws the TiVo to dodge the RPG so they can fly away. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen Tropic Thunder, it's one of the greatest comedies ever made. Certainly one of the best movies of the 2000s. I can't recommend it enough. Very enjoyable film. Now, these targets up here, they're going to mostly be pirate targets that we're destroying. And it makes sense from the Allied nations standpoint when they consider themselves as the lawbringers to destroy pirate interests, but not always so lawful themselves when you consider stuff like Abu Ghraib or the fire bombings and whatnot. Now, there are different moral opinions on firebombing and bombing in general. Some people hold the opinion it was necessary to end the war sooner. Some people think that it was just hardened their resolve. It's hard to say. I will say this much. The bombing at all was a tragedy. Okay, we're going to try and dodge this using our, not patented, but it's funny to say it. Our technique, we'll go with that. Don't be mad. Come on, let's be chill. Let's be chill. We're not trying to report me. We're just being chillin'. It's cool. Do have to be weary of this disguise that keeps reappearing so quickly. It's probably why they're shooting at me and calling me in. So like, oh man, there's an ally going in right there. Although, it does make me wonder if they can even call you in if they don't know it's you. Like, if you're disguised, how are they going to know that you're the person driving it? I guess that's something worth testing at some point. Or if someone already knows the answer, feel free to drop it down in the comments. So you can prevent an oil thing from moving as long as you simply just shoot it in the opposite direction with the cannon, because it has enough counter force to it that it can stop that sliding motion so it doesn't fall off. Alright, we got a bunch of targets on this island that we're going to take care of.
You're near a target. There's a target. Take it out.
Now we do need some oil before it's possible for us to do that. Which there's always some around this kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. There's 4 of them. So.
Zero in on that target. target.
So what we're gonna do, if you recall the Chinese episode, or the Chinese side mission episode, we're just gonna stack them up first, and then we're gonna shoot them to make this a little simpler for us. Unless they start sliding, then we're gonna shoot them, just to make sure it actually works. Really, anything we can do to save our rockets and other munitions, so we can use them when it's impossible to just stack oil on top of these things. Okay, that's 2. Go for number 3 over here. Yeah, definitely be careful of all the homies with SAMs around here. You don't want to incur their wrath. Looks like that worked. Excellent. And thankfully, every helicopter comes standard equipped with a winch. I do not think that is a normal feature of helicopters. Perhaps like civilian ones or like some utility helicopters the military has, but I'd be pretty surprised if there was actually a winch on like an Apache, for example. Alright, let's go ahead and start melting these. Alright, that's taken care of.
Zero in on that target.
That's taken care of.
Money in the bank. That pirate thug is reporting your absence.
Oh, no, don't worry about me, pal. Yeah, you should worry about where you're at. Oh, the cruise missile strike? Now that is a good call in, let me say.
Money in the bank.
There we go. That's 4 targets down. Let's go ahead and start using the rockets.
All right, one more. All right, one more.
Gonna fly away a little bit. Making incredibly good progress here. It also helps that so many of them are concentrated on one island. Yeah, you can tell the UN really doesn't care for this island in particular.
One more.
Now the Guardian SAM you did get to see us use in the last, in the last episode. It was really bad.
Find out what you've done.
We ended up getting destroyed by like 1 rocket. But as far as anti-aircraft is concerned, it has a pretty good armament system. It's just it's not very well armored. In my opinion, the best AA is probably the Chinese one,
One more building go.
just because it has a decent amount of armor. Let's go take care of these next 3 targets over here.
If you're ever stuck on what
Now,
you did,
if
come
we
back
can
to PMC.
spot
I'll
a
have
new helicopter, might do that. I don't see one though, so not too worried. Might remember this island from our pirate episode. That sure was something, let me tell you, doing all those side missions. Although it kind of a trial by fire. It does get you ready to do the Allied and Chinese missions,
Take it out.
especially the Iron Mountain heavy tank one. Well, I don't know if anything really can prepare you for that one. It's kind of unique. Hello.
The enemy is here. Hello, Mon.
Hello, Mon.
That pirate thug
Very
is
endearing
reporting your
faction.
absence. If you don't stop him, awesome. One
Alright, that's him down. Let's go ahead into the next one. Only 7 more to go. We're making really good progress here. I do find it interesting how they have 24 things for us to destroy when the Chinese only had 8. I think it just has to do with the fact that they wanted to include a bunch of American vehicles and didn't really have a place for them to unlock, so they ended up attaching it to these destroy targets. So it's a little bit of favoritism there,
There's a
or
target.
what appears to
Take
be
it out.
favoritism there at least. Now this is a funny building for them to want to destroy. Like, what even is this? It's really just like a frame of a building. So I wouldn't call it a building. Like, you can park things under it. It doesn't even have a full roof. But they're like, we'll pay you. Let's see how much money they're going to give us for it. $500,000 to destroy it. Okay, let's see if we can avoid getting shot by these. And we did. Nice. Now, what's funny, like, despite those being lock-on missiles,
You're near a target.
you'd probably think that they would be able to hit fairly well. If you're familiar with War Thunder, man, they have a hard time hitting there as well. And they're the same missile for a lot of things, like the Stinger. I have it on my LAV-AD. If they're not flying at you or pretty slowly past you, there's a really good chance you're just not going to hit with the Stinger.
If you don't stop him,
Now, in real life, it's probably different.
great work.
It's my guess, because there's not much in War Thunder that actually reflects real life. Like, it touts itself as a pretty realistic game, but a bunch of problems with it. Like, first off, the solid shot versus armor-piercing HE argument. In-game, armor-piercing HE is so much better, but I'm gonna give you a scenario, okay? And tell me how you would react. You're in a tank in real life, and someone shoots you with another tank or an anti-tank gun, something like that. And it penetrates the tank. And you see, in the front of the tank, maybe the back, a hole in your vehicle. What are you going to do? Are you going to stay in the tank and try and fight it out? Or are you going to jump out and run away? Because you don't want to die in a burning metal coffin. I mean, it seems to me like the choice is pretty obvious. However, in War Thunder, it's like, well, they got 2 crew left, or in some cases 1, if it's like the Swedish S-Tank. And they're just gonna fight to the death, like it doesn't matter at all. Which I find to be, wow, just, okay. So basically the effect of that is that it makes stuff like the British vehicles and the French vehicles a bit worse, because you have to aim precisely, whereas a person in a German like Tiger or whatever, Panzer IV, can just shoot at your tank, and then if they penetrate, it's basically going to kill everyone inside. Now, I was thinking about whether or not I would play War Thunder on the channel. It's possible, although I'd probably have to censor the chat just because people on there are really fond of racial slurs, I'll put it that way. And just racism in general, and I'm not really trying to bring that to this channel. Like, I hardly swear in general. And I'm pretty sure it's against YouTube rules to use racial slur, but I'm not 100% on that one. So that's the biggest barrier for me to want to do that. And then if I were to decide to play it on the channel, like the kind of content I was thinking of might be like if any of y'all are like old heads and remember when Modern Warfare 2 and like Call of Duty 4 was just coming out, how like people used to record the footage and then commentate over it, I would probably do something like that, because I don't think a live comm would be the best kind of video to watch. I mean, I guess it depends on what you guys think. If for any of you interested in seeing War Thunder footage, like, I guess a live comm would give you, like, at the time, accurate responses to like, me calling out stuff to my buddies, because I probably wouldn't play it alone, is my guess. It would be another multi-comm, like the one I did with Hearts of Iron, or Call of Duty. Now, speaking of, I'm really curious to hear what you guys thought about those multi-comms. If you're a fan of it, if you didn't like it, and
You're near a target.
and if you enjoyed the host that I brought on with me. I'd be happy to hear what you have to say about that down in the comments below. I had a lot of fun recording it, I'll put it that way. And for whatever reason, a little behind the scenes for you guys, Hearts of Iron 4 is incredibly easy to render. I'm guessing it's just because it's a map on a screen and not too much is going on. It does take up quite a bit of space considering it is the newest game on the channel. So like an hour of footage is about 10 gigabytes worth of space, so it's definitely not nothing.
Take it out.
But I've got plenty of space on my computer, and after every recording, I just delete the footage, so it's not like it's clogging up space at all. Or that you care, probably, is my guess. But in case you did, now you know. Alright. So we're grabbing this because I can't find any oil nearby. We're just going to place it on top, and we're going to hope for the best. Now, be careful of this particular zone because there's quite a few SAMs in the area. So I wouldn't stick around, certainly. Alright, 3 more to go. Alright, 1 in the river, and then 2 down south, and then we've got all of the destroy targets handled. Huh. It says they didn't take any hostility there. Wow, okay. Maybe it was a bug, and that's why I didn't actually subtract anything, or they just considered my damage to be non-essential. I mean, it's possible. Alright, so this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit with a rocket.
That's another building destroyed.
Kind of funny they just used a watchtower. It's one of the things they wanted to destroy. Like you couldn't just shoot a rocket at it? Alright, and then we're on our way to the last 2 targets. And we'll be on our HVTs after that. Now, as you're probably aware of by now, HVTs are definitely harder to deal with than destroying a target because you can just fly in and out and hit and run really easily. Whereas an HVT, if you want to keep them alive, you got to worry about the surface-to-air missiles nearby. You got to worry about people coming to shoot the helicopter when it comes in. All sorts of things. If you want them dead, it's not so bad, of course. Alright, and then here's the last one.
There's a target. Take it out.
Why are there no ammo stores around here?
Wow, you stayed? It's actually kind of crazy. There we go. Oh, would you look at that? The Diplomat heavy tank. Well, I tell you what, Bobby. We are on our way to go get us one of those Diplomat heavy tanks. Let's go see where we can get one. Closest one's going to be here in the southeast Caracas outpost, but I think where we're going to go first is the southwestern one. Now, as far as modern tanks are concerned, for the longest time I was a Challenger 2 Glazer, but it was also because I watched I wouldn't say a video, a show, yeah, we'll go with that, on the... Oh, that's interesting how that water flows. Sorry to get distracted there. Yeah, you can tell it flows from south to north the whole time. Yeah, so as far as that show is concerned, it claimed the Challenger 2 had never been penetrated. Like, the worst injury a person had ever gotten from it was by getting, like, an RPG as it was cresting over a hill, hit the lower glacis, which is, like, the armor plating closest to the ground in the front, and it hit and got the driver's toe. Now, as far as I'm aware, the Challenger 2 is in Ukraine, and I'm pretty confident some of them have been destroyed at this point. And the Abrams is by no means invincible. We've seen that with the ISIS conflict when the Iraqis just gave over some of their Abrams to ISIS. And we've seen it in Ukraine where Abrams are getting destroyed here and there. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the same playing ground as like a Russian tank. I've heard way and seen way more about how Russian tanks get destroyed incredibly easily by Western munitions than vice versa.
Enemy helicopter spotted.
Alright, let's go ahead and buy us some diplomats.
Hey, Merc. You're doing good out there.
Well, you can afford.
So we have, I'm imagining, a bunch more stuff we can buy now, yeah. But there's only a couple things I really want. So like the Bunker Buster, couldn't hurt to have more of that. We also have an excessive amount of money at 45 million. Smart bombs, they're fine. Might as well get it. Cruise missile, we definitely want that. Flies under AA to reach the target. That's important. Still doesn't get around jammers though. And then at 425,000 apiece, we can get a tank, which
See you around.
I'm pretty confident is actually a major steal. Because I have a feeling that those tanks cost a lot more than $425,000 for the U.S. Army to make. Because, for one, they have over a mile of welding inside of them. The U.S. considers it more cost-effective to take tanks and refurbish them in plants than they do to make new ones. For a while, the gun was from the British. I think they used a variant of the L7 on the very first Abrams. Alright, so we're going to go ahead for the HVTs. We're going to take this path. We're going to start here, down left, over right, up, and then all the way up right, and then finish off through these three areas here. Hopefully it goes smooth and we get them all in one attempt, but if not, then oh well. It'll be like, what, the third time we've died this series? Worst thing that'll happen is we spawn back at the PMC and we're going to have to call in another Fuel Air RPG and whatever primary weapon we want to use. So on our way flying there, we've talked about assault rifles. I'm curious how you guys feel about machine guns in games. What are some of your favorites there? For me, it's pretty simple. Stuff like the MG42 is really fun. The M60 is really fun in pretty much every game it's in. And the M2 Browning 50 cal is really fun. Just being able to penetrate heavy targets is such a... well, not heavy targets, but light targets is such a boon compared to like a light machine gun or a medium machine gun where they have a hard time going through hardened vehicles.
I need to reload.
Looks like the first one missed. Oh, there's a SAM we just aren't paying attention to. That's a bad idea. Oh boy. Yeah, don't be surprised if we lose the helicopter, by the way. I see about 800 things shooting SAMs at us, so it's definitely a possibility. Besides, we use this one helicopter for the entirety of the destroy target missions, so could be about time to get a new one anyway. Now, thankfully, we don't have to worry about anyone ratting us out and calling support in, so we can just pretty safely deal with what we got here. And it looks like we destroyed, either there isn't one, or we destroyed the alarm, so there's no one in that building. Alright.
Get to the chopper!
Wounded VZ troops.
Nice.
Roger, I have you. HVT extraction on the way.
Now, I don't know what they were thinking when they made the Pavlo the, oh, dude, come on. Why I gotta be like that?
Okay, where you want her?
Wow. This is embarrassing. Okay. There's that trained helicopter pilot mentality I was telling you guys about. Make me waste my time. But honestly, you know, at least I can prove that I actually can do a QTE, so there might be some use there. Now that Iron Mountain one, I don't know about that one. So here's what I was saying. So like, you can't put them in from the back, which is where you're meant to load them. You have to put them in through the side door, and it like glitches out.
Yeah, baby. It's payday.
That has to be because they wanted to implement it, but they didn't have enough time. I mean, surely they weren't that lazy, and they were just like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, if by any chance somehow a pandemic dev who worked on Mercenaries 2 is watching this and knows why stuff like that happened, I would love to hear.
If you're ever feeling a little bit lost, come back to the PMC and talk to me. I might be able to offer you a few suggestions.
So now it's not a permanent solution, but you can definitely dodge most enemies or most anti-air enemies if you simply just fly left to right and lower or raise your altitude. Eventually they're gonna hit you, but if you're swinging around them long enough, you can pretty much get through and destroy the sand most times out of 10. Like, something like that. Now, thankfully, our chain gun is in pretty powerful condition, so we can just really light up all the opposition, and then go in and take our HVT.
Female mercenary inbound.
I'm sure you can steal my heli again. It's really embarrassing. Try and prevent that from occurring twice. And, well, 2 times in a row would just be really No, don't tell me.
Roger, I have you. HVT extraction on the way.
No, you don't. Well, it did happen 2 times in a row, so here I am, really embarrassed. I thought I heard one to my left, too, which is the worst part.
I love skydiving.
Think you're tough? Wait till Solano's done with you.
Dude, you just saw me jack a helicopter as it was taking off. I'm gonna be honest, like that's big talk. Also, from what I noticed, either I was missing the target, but those looked like kill shots to me, or this helicopter protects the pilot a lot more efficiently than other helicopters, which makes it a lot harder for us to use. Now, we are pretty close to being out of munitions. I am not particularly sure. Oh, because they stole it, maybe it reset the cannon ammo. It's kind of funny. Okay, on to number 3
If you're
here.
feeling a little bit lost, come back to the PMC and talk to me. I might be able to offer you a few suggestions.
Hey, you on the 2nd floor? Shouldn't be smoking. Let's get out. Oh well.
We may die on the fall here. Okay, we did. That's good. Alright, start running so we don't get punked. Alright. Take care of the riffraff over here. Oh. Would you look at that? Found our new ride.
Enemy sighted!
Now, there was one point where it was pretty much impossible for me to do the QTEs for the Anaconda. Oh, that was rude.
I lose more outfits this week.
Oh well. Just get back on the horse, I guess. At the very least, the helicopter's taken out, so it's not like it's all bad. Oh boy.
I'm wounded.
So we've got a Rocketeer in that building. I'm gonna show him the 1-4. Or not. Or I'll miss and shoot under. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Yeah, if you see that plume show up, the target's in big trouble. Which can be you. The Chinese use that weapon very frequently. Thankfully the Allies don't. But as you saw, the Allies, they got that fully automatic rocket launcher that they use.
If you're ever
I
stuck
do
on
like
what
that
to do,
touch.
come back and talk.
Because if you notice, he says, I would like to see my family again. Which humanizes the character and makes you not want to kill them. Because they're just like
Allied
you.
chopper has arrived, ready
And that
for
they're
your
just another
HVT.
human around. And it gives you the incentive to load it on, which will give you more money as well, but you also get to feel good from a humanitarian standpoint, which is, I think, a good touch. Alright, so we just used the Anaconda. I think they're too far away for us to want to use the, yeah, we'll just use another ambassador, because it's too far away for a tank, in my opinion. I don't really feel like driving for 10 minutes just to get 2 targets. Any day now, Ewan. Alright, there we go.
Here you go, boss.
Now, we are out of fuel air RPG ammo. It would probably be wise to grab more. But, you know.
One helicopter delivered. One
We're gonna live on the dangerous side, I guess. If it backfires, you guys can say, I told you so. Alright, now we're gonna go for the bottom target first, like we said. I do like how well done the roads are on the side of this map. Like, it looks like modern infrastructure. And then you get to the quarry where it's like you got this dirt road and then no road. Certainly fun to do tricks in, though. Take down enemies. Lots of them were here for our Chinese episode. Alright, we're nearing the target location. Oh, would you look at that? An Anaconda. We'll take care of that. Oh yeah, we have these anti-air missiles. Let's use them. They're pretty effective. 2 of them will take down a helicopter, it looks like. Is that an allied vehicle? Huh. I think that they have an allied thing right over here. And then there's an HVT they want right across the way. That's funny to me. Alright, 2 rockets seem to be the gold standard, except one of them got absorbed. Alright, there we go. Now let's go ahead and deal with this SAM site.
Dead or alive at your discretion.
There we go, he's down.
High-value targets are worth twice as much.
Now, I don't think that there's anyone else around who poses a massive threat to us.
Then you can call in for an extraction from the faction that issued the bounty, and they'll send a chopper over to pick him up. Make sure he's not killed in the line of fire, or you'll lose the bonus.
I find it
Of course,
really,
without the extra money, just send it.
really funny that they're explaining this to me
Get the bonus, but at least
after this point where I've done 40, not including the ones I've already done for the Allies, 40 HVT missions, and they're like, well, you know, no, I see you this time, pal.
You picked the wrong side.
No, I hear your helicopter wanting it, chatter.
Tell Solano I'm coming for him.
Man, they're just, it's almost like a tower defense game. Trying to keep him away from your helicopter. Oh, he's dead. I wonder how he died.
that was
Surely
a tough
we
one.
didn't do
Good
that.
work.
Alright, on to the next target. A little bit northwest of this. Yep. We're still doing decent on munitions. We're out of anti-air missiles. Which, you know, it's not the worst thing ever. I love how they have it shown where you actually don't have the missile anymore and it's just the pylon there. That's a really nice touch. I find it incredibly lazy when stuff like that isn't implemented. Is this yet another situation where there's an allied base like 2 feet away from the Venezuelan one? Because that is really funny to me. Yeah, it sure is.
There's an allied high-value target nearby.
Now, it doesn't look to me like this guy has nearly as an extensive defense network as his friend. Alright, who's on the ground? Okay. You have to be a little careful when you're shooting that autocannon because it does have splash damage, and you don't want to kill your HVT. Well, unless you do want to kill him. Now, you could argue that's what Jennifer Moo would want to do in this situation because of her proclivities against the Venezuelan government.
Allied chopper has arrived.
Maybe her
Ready
rage
for
would
your
overtake her
HVT.
and make her want to kill anyone working for the VZ faction in particular, but like otherwise it'd be more live and let live. I'll consider that for next time I play Mercenaries 2, which I imagine won't be on camera unless for some reason I end up playing the PC version, which I have. It's a possibility, but it'd have to be a long ways down the road before I'd consider doing that. Not that Mercenaries 2 isn't worth replaying, of course. I play it like probably once a year, something like that, all the way through. Pretty fond of this game. In fact, well, this will be my second playthrough this year since I had a playthrough in March, where I did pretty much everything. I even got most of the 100 collectibles, which it's kind of fun to do that because there's just so many of them around, and you unlock unique vehicles that are sort of useful. Now, for our last 5 targets, I'm pretty confident that they're all Chinese. So if you care about your standing with the Chinese, definitely be careful about how you approach these particular combatants. Now, I do see a heli on radar. Oh, it's a locust? Huh. That's cool. Hello. As you can see, the chain gun suffers a bit against helicopters, just because the rounds have such low velocity. But against most other type of targets, it's fine. Oh, you know, I just remembered that we need to kill 50 Chinese, so let's go ahead and start working on that. For the individual bounties. Completely slipped my mind until just this moment. Which I suppose is good because this isn't even where the HVT is. I just decided to start unwhipping a can of, well, you know what I mean, on these guys. Oh, that's a Dragon Lance light tank. Oh, it survived the second hit? Interesting. What about the third? Nope. Didn't think so. Sure is fun blasting them away with this chain gun. And it's nice, like, if you compare it to some other helicopters in gaming, like, the Battlefield one comes straight to mind when you think of things like this with the helicopters. And the gunner is usually limited to 30 rounds as a sort of a balance mechanism. If you're playing older games, it's a little less than, but, like, you have more unlimited ammo. It's like the trade-off. But just getting 750 straight rounds and just being able to go in with the chain gun is really nice. No overheating either, like War Thunder, which doesn't happen all that often. I suppose it's technically possible on some of the helicopters. Okay. Doing pretty good clearing these guys out.
Moving in.
Definitely want to destroy these buildings before we mess around. Now, you might notice that at the halfway point, they end up usually getting destroyed. Okay, but yeah, be careful of that thing. Alright, looks like we got it. Now let's just go ahead and get the remaining small fry. Oh, we're very nearly out of ammo. Switch to rockets. Do a little bit of a flyaway so they don't rat us out. Oh.
If you keep this up,
Okay, that's
Chinese are gonna
interesting.
become hostile.
So it appears I've encountered a brand new bug where the trick doesn't necessarily, it doesn't appear as though it works, but it does end up working in practice rather than in actuality.
I love skydiving.
Oh, they don't know I'm the enemy? That's fine.
Dang, I said hi.
Peng will hear this.
No. Well, maybe he will. Like, that guy down the road might call me in. But you certainly won't be.
I read you. On my way. Extraction chopper is here.
Just the idea of putting him in the minigun seat is really funny to me.
That was a tough one.
Who?
Good work.
How would you do that?
If you're ever stuck on what to do next, come back and talk to me. If you keep this up,
Oh wow,
Chinese are gonna become
they really didn't care so much that I just deleted that guy. Maybe he was, maybe he didn't like following orders or something, who knows. Alright, all we have left is 8 rockets. Not the greatest armament of all time. And this particular HVT is one of the hardest in the game. Just because there's so much, like, do you see all these buildings that are grayed out right now? They're gonna activate.
Helicopter.
Let's see here. What is my strategy? Alright, I'm gonna let him destroy. Oh, no, I got a much better idea. Here's what we're gonna do.
Stop using ammo around here.
Cover me. I'm sounding the alarm.
Oh, get out of the way of the tank. 1 health.
Behind that.
There's the jammer. We don't particularly. Oh yeah, we care about the jammer. Who am I kidding? And I think that might have actually been the very first time I've ever seen one of those actually move around. Let's go ahead and take this IFV. Well, it's not a tank apparently. Oh. They did not give us very much time there. Yeah, these late game. Oh, get out of the way. Yeah. Unless you want to pay the iron price. This is where the Fuel Air RPG really comes into its own, though, when you get a chance to just launch it all over the place. We're really low. We got to be really careful here. Let's try one more time to take this thing.
General Peng.
So we know it's left and then
Under
B.
attack. The Mercenaries firing upon us as we speak. We must have reinforcements, sir. Immediately.
Alright, looks like we got it.
Chinese call for backup.
Alright. So all you're gonna get on this is an autocannon and a machine gun. So just take advantage of the autocannon, destroy the enemies that you can. Use it for all it's worth, really. The Bradley's better simply by the merit that it has a missile launcher as well. We mentioned that a bit when we brought up the Bradley last time and the other IFVs. Now those buildings are going to keep spawning enemies until you destroy them, so just keep that in mind. And then there's a SAM site over there that I'm sure we have to deal with. So. And this building certainly seems a bit more hardened than your average building as well. Doing okay. Now, I think we might have hit the threshold we were looking for. Let's see. Yeah, we're at 80. They only wanted us to kill 50, so we're good. I am going to go ahead and take out this SAM site, though.
Yes, sir. We are under attack. The mercenaries firing upon us as we speak. We must have reinforcements.
If you're ever stuck on what to do next,
Alright, good. We got it on fire.
PMC. I'll have suggestions.
I think we've destroyed enough anti-air missiles. It should be possible to bring in a helicopter to pick this guy up, but we'll see. Oh, well, there's an agency.
Must find a way to make bullets old fashioned.
Here you go.
Oh. Wow. Huh. Surprising. Hello. Oh, that's not good. Oh, we're dead! See, I wasn't kidding. I certainly was not kidding. Alright, well. Let's go out and try that again. Round 2. Alright, it's time for Scorched Earth. We're going to go ahead and call in a couple different things here. First, we're going to need some supplies. We'll start with the Fuel Air RPG. That was not the reason we died last time.
Good use.
I'd say the reason ultimately we died was because we let people call in reinforcements, and that Salamander APC got us pretty good.
It's never shoes.
Alright, there we go. Fuel Air is ours. Let's get a proper primary. I guess we don't really have one better than the AN one, since we didn't buy the Chinese bullpup.
What would you do without me?
Line a little too low there, Gun. There we go.
I can't understand anything these guys say.
If you're ever feeling a little bit lost, come back to the PMC and talk to me.
Alright, rifle's ours. Now let's go ahead and call in what you've probably been waiting for, I'm guessing, is the Diplomat Heavy Tank. Let's see what we can do with this thing. Now the approach we're going to take is getting rid of these 3 up here and then moving down south to take care of this last one. And worry not. It's tank time from here on. That's all I'm saying. Ooh, there's the lucky ladies bringing it in for us right now. Got some explosive reactive armor on the side. It also has a minigun coaxial, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get ourselves an ally to help us with this endeavor.
What's up?
Okay, so immediately what I'm noticing is it feels like this tank is faster than the Iron Mountain by just a little bit. So as far as that's concerned, check in one direction. Let's see, where do we gotta go? Looks like down south first.
They ain't got a chance, boys.
Okay, my aim isn't the best while on the move, but that guy's not important anyway, so just keep driving. Oh, now that's funny. A random shed is more powerful than most vehicles.
Enemy
So now, what does scorched earth mean to me? You might be asking yourself. Well, I've got a really good answer for you. It means that I am not worried about getting these HVTs anymore. They're officially in Smoke City. So, like that. That's what I mean by scorched earth. Get out very quickly and get the picture because I have a feeling, yeah, if they take that tank, it's gonna be a little difficult to get it back. I can't think of too many times I've actually been able to do the Abrams QTE to take it from somebody. Oh, get ready for backup. That's great. Bring in as much as you'd like, really.
You're insured, right?
So, there's not too many vehicles that make you feel like you're a T-Rex. I'd say the Abrams and the Iron Mountain kind of have that energy where you just don't care. You're going to plow through whatever's in front of you. Oh, Sam say? Man, that sure would be threatening if I cared. Hello. But. Oh, nice to meet you. But. Alright, our target's just a little up here. Hello. Do be careful. Try not to get hit by a fuel air RPG. There is a nice thing, though, where if you move out of the way of a fuel air RPG, I'm pretty sure you can dodge it. Man, Scorched Earth sure is fun. Yeah, if you don't care about money, this is definitely the preferred way to play, I'd say. Oh, and there's no way we can allow anyone in the immediate area to live, just because it'd be way too big a risk for them to steal our tank. And I'm not feeling that. You're certainly right about that. Alright, that's 8 out of 10. 2 more to go. Running a little low on ammo here. Also, the Guardian APC. So that they mean the Guardian with a minigun as the turret you have for 8 of the HVTs. That does not seem like the greatest reward, you guys me. Alright, we got one more up here. Hello. Bye. Reminds me of that Beatles song. You say hello, I say goodbye. Maybe it's the other way around. I always get it mixed up. This is some of the most fun you can have in Mercenaries too. It's just plowing through things. I gotta say, this is great. I haven't felt like blazing a vehicle so much since the Anaconda. You guys remember from part 5, I think, is when we were doing that. Now there is an Iron Mountain. Oh no, that's cool. boy, and then get on to the last HVT. Get revenge.
That was a tough one. Good
Oh,
work.
no, you don't. Uh-oh. Oh, thank goodness we overrode him. Yeah, because even if someone does manage to steal an Abrams from you, I'm going to give you a hint. If you recall, the Anaconda took, like, I think a C4 and 7 grenades to destroy. This is going to take a lot of C4 to destroy. Probably more than you have. Alright, only 6 shots left. And you'll notice how we managed to escape from the blast radius of that fuel air RPG, even despite the direct impact. So essentially what that means is, for you as the player,
Bad guys.
is just be on the move when one hits you, and try not to hit moving targets with one, and you'll be fine. As long as you're hitting buildings with the fuel air RPG, you will do A-okay. Just like that, we're in Allied terrain. Things are all right again. Yeah, despite taking that outpost for the Chinese in the northeast of Kumana, is where we're at, in the junkyard, the Allies still would appear to hold the city pretty much entirely. And they're pretty active against defending against the Chinese.
Who's driving that vehicle?
The enemy is here!
They definitely more or less focus on that surfer voice for the Allied nation soldiers. But it's nice that they have more than one different voice profile. In fact, I'm pretty sure most factions do. Like, Universal Petroleum feels pretty samey since everyone talks like a gruff mercenary. And I'm pretty confident they don't employ any female soldiers. Whereas I'm pretty sure only the PLAV actually do employ females, so. Alright, so we've stocked up all of this ordnance over time. I think it's time to finally use some. Let's see what we got. Oh, a rocket artillery strike sounds fun. We used that a little bit ago.
We have your signal.
Well, that seemed to be pretty effective, if I do say so myself. Now, what about for round 2? Let's see what we got. Oh, the carpet bomb? That one's pretty good. We're gonna need to get a little closer, though, I think.
Great. Another tank. Ugh.
I wonder if Mui doesn't like tanks for some
If you're
reason.
ever stuck on what to do next, come
Maybe she
back
got, like,
and
run
talk to
over
me
by
at
one
CMC.
in one of
I'll
her
have
past,
suggestions.
endeavors. Alright, let's go ahead and call in that carpet bomb.
Roger that. Clear the area.
So you might recognize the bomber that's going to come and deliver this. Oh, the B-2 Spirit. Just levels the area completely. Pretty nice bomb. You lived? Huh. Alright, and there we go. The last HVT taken care of. And with that, we've completed all the contracts or the side missions for the Allied nations. I'm so glad you stayed with us for part 8. Next time in part 9, we're going to be facing the Allied main contracts. and do the entirety of their storyline, and then in
Enemy
part
tank.
10
Steal
we'll
it.
be in the finale, and Mercenaries 2 will be over with. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the playthrough. If you did, consider liking and subscribing, and until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.